Good evening, everybody. Cold, snowy day out there. Well, the snow's starting to come down now. A lot of games canceled today, even more tomorrow. Uh, late podcast tonight, but I want to thank Coach Wishart from Shore Regional joining me tonight. 2 weeks in a row getting a coach on. Hopefully, we can keep this trend going. Um, Coach, thanks for joining us today. And you know, you didn't have a game today. You had practice, or was that
Yeah,
canceled
we had
today?
practice. I appreciate you guys having us on. Obviously, I appreciate you guys, what you're doing, growing the girls' game. I'm biased, but I think we had the best sport in the entire short conference.
I agree.
No offense to football or soccer or lacrosse, but I just think girls basketball, primarily in the short conference, and I actually said this to my team today, winning the short conference is harder than winning a state title.
It is.
And you might be one of the bottom teams in the short conference or a middle of the road team in the short conference, but each and every year when we get to states, there's a reason why there's 3 or 4 representatives in the quarterfinals and 2 or 3 teams in the semifinals. And, just shows to show you how good basketball is around here. So I appreciate you guys continuing to really try to grow the game around here.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
and like you said, the talent, makes it easy for me and Doug. Doug's caught some, couple good games this week. I missed out. Some things going on. We'll just start with this. You're talking about, how competitive the shore is. And, we had Dawn on last week talking about scheduling, and she brought you up saying, you had some good ideas. And, last year when I did the preseason interviews, I think she brought you up last year too with with the scheduling last year.
Because she's the best coach in the short conference. So I feel honored that she knows my name, first of all.
Yes, and it's good to have somebody with best team in the state. Last time they lost to New Jersey was to St. Rose, her older daughter's senior year. So that's the last time they lost to a New Jersey opponent. And but what's your she wants a more competitive schedule where the Freehold boroughs and sure the last couple of years stuck in the top division. Last year, 2 years ago, you had St. Rose, RBC, Manasquan, Rumson, Homedale, and all the teams, and all the take St. Rose out, but all those teams in RBC, all those teams are Central Jersey Group 2. So you meet twice during the season, and then you meet during in the states, and Raritan had a good run that year. So it just tells you how competitive that division was and how competitive Central Jersey Group 2 is. But then you got the games like, St. John Vianney playing Freehold Borough. And what are your thoughts and, or the steps you think that should be taken to try to balance the schedules out a little bit better? Or the divisions?
Well, do you want to put like a PTI shot clock on me? Because we could be here all night, guys.
No, we're good.
No, I think I think the first thing is that when you have a conference or a schedule or divisions and you have 2 powerhouse teams and they're not even playing each other in the regular season for whatever reason, and I don't know the reasons, I don't care to know the reasons, but that to me is just mind blowing, right? Yeah. And listen, they might see each other in the short conference finals. I think Manasquan might have something to say with that. Yeah. But or Donovan Catholic, if they on the right night they can pick off anybody. Yeah. But I just think that at some point we have to realize that what we are doing needs to change. I know that there's been a growing sentiment among the athletic directors. I know that there's some sort of change coming down the road, but I don't know, like, as I said in the opening, girls basketball, even boys basketball, right? We have a lot of kids going to Division I, Division II, Division III, but yet football, which I know everyone loves football, and trust me, tomorrow or on Sunday, I'll be in front of my TV for 6 hours watching the NFL or 7 hours, whatever. But every year football gets a brand new schedule, brand new division. And I get it. They don't have a counterpart. They don't have a girls' football that they have to worry about, right, for the most part. But at some point, I just think you have to look at it and say, this just doesn't make sense, right? And no offense to, Freehold Borough or my division, Matawan, Raritan, or ourselves, but like 3 weeks ago in the A Central, we had 3 games, and every single game was a blowout, like 30 points. And I was having this conversation with somebody, but when you're one of those teams and you wake up on December 17th, what are you playing for? Because you're not going to win the short conference. You're not going to win your division. Your group is going to be very difficult. So at some point, we have to say to ourselves, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I'm not that person that needs someone to win a trophy. I don't listen. You don't work hard. You should not get the compensation for it.
Yeah.
But like at some point, we have to start thinking. All right, these are the 10 best teams, and if we have to do it every October or every November, these are the 10 best teams. You're over here. These are the next 10 best teams, or the next best 5 teams. You're over here, and just going it that way. Fine, and give those teams that are in that hard division, a pass for the short conference. Say, hey, you're in the top division, and we can do it like a Premier League. You're automatically into the short conference tournament. And that's a simple way. And listen, the other thing too, and if you really want me to get in the nitty gritty, I can. But just because it doesn't work one year, it should just be a continual trial and error.
Just keep adjusting.
Just keep adjusting it, and we see it in football. They're adjusting it constantly. And I'm going to mispronounce his name, but Tom Passafaro, he's the new head coach over at Lakewood.
Yes,
I don't know if you guys have talked to him at all.
I've spoken to him a few times. Yes,
he is a math wizard.
Yeah.
He has. I don't know if he's shown you what he has done, but he took basically all the records of the teams that from 2 years ago, the last 2 full seasons. And then he took their records, and then he took their common opponents' records. Hopefully I'm not butchering this. And then he made some sort of model. And there are issues with it. Like, for example, I think in his model, he has Pinelands in the same division as Ocean. And I think Pinelands is in the division with a lot of Monmouth County teams. And that's tough for Pinelands to get to. That's a far drive. We played down there. It's not an easy drive to get down there.
Yeah.
And so there are some adjustments that we need to make. But I just come back to, we know there's a problem. We know there's an issue. Let's fix it. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm not the czar of this. This is, I would love to hear from you guys as fans, as a former parent. And I know your daughter was on the winning side a lot of times, but I mean, I'm sure you didn't really want your daughter playing Lakewood because that didn't get, no offense to the Lakewood program, but they're not the same level right now, right? No. And what are we doing to prepare these kids who are going to play basketball at Division I, Division II, or Division III? That's not preparing them for the next level. So I wonder what you guys think.
I agree with you. And I've always said, no offense to the teams that are down, because Friel-Burr wasn't always that bad.
No,
I coached there for a year. We made it to the Final Four in the short conference. We lost to St. John Vianney. But teams go through ups and downs, especially public schools. Yeah. It all depends on the town. And there's ups and downs. But you know what? I always thought that the Premier League has it right. You put, like you said, put the 10 teams here, 10 teams here, 10 teams here. The bottom 3 in the top division, the next year move down to the second division. The top 3 teams move up. It's the only way you're going to actually get some balance, because otherwise you're going to end up, like you said, you're going to have Raritan and Matawan in the division with RBC and Holmdel and St. John Vianney playing teams that, like you said, you start the season, you look at the schedule, you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
The kids have nothing to play for. They know they're going to be 0-12 in the division.
Yeah.
How does that prepare? Like, there's no incentive for that. So as far, and to go on your point where what you started with was, coaches, the way I grew up and the way I learned how to coach was you always want to play the best teams. That's what I always want to do, no matter what. Okay. And I know you feel the same way. But I don't think all the coaches feel that way. And I don't think all athletic directors feel that way. So even if you have you and Dawn that will play anybody, go anywhere, I don't think other teams that have other coaches that have strong teams feel the same way. So when you have that resistance, I don't know. And I don't know who has more power. And people have been coaching a long time and they might not feel the same way you do. So who's listening to who? That's part of the problem. But there's got to be a better way. And whoever comes up with it, I mean, like you said, trial and error. Try something. If it works, great. If it doesn't, try something else. But you can't always base it on the boys' model. And you
Yeah,
can't always
that's what I was
base
going
it.
to say.
It's just not fair to the girls.
Yeah, and you know, when you look at it, like we had a conversation at our coaches meeting the other night about the short conference tournament, right? And you have these teams, like we're in a similar situation where we're right now 7-8, and we lost 2 games because of a cancellation, and we're trying to schedule because the ultimate goal is to get into the short conference. And you know, I scheduled a little bit harder this year. We played Jackson Memorial, who's the #1 team. You know, we played a Bishop Eustace team that's all the way out, and they're having a great season right now. And you know, we obviously we have Manasquan and Rumson when they were 1-7. We told the kids they weren't 1-7. They're a very good team, and they've now proven that with 6 or 7 straight wins. And then you have Homedale, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody else, Trinity as well. It's like there's no room for error. You can't have a bad night. And the same thing happened to us 2 years ago, where you know Nick mentioned our division, and we literally were like, all right, we gotta hopefully we can upset somebody, and if not, we have to go perfect the rest of the way. And we had one slip up, Raritan, which was a great team. Coach Vona, they beat us on our home floor senior night, and they deserved to win that game. But you know, my kids worked hard, and they're not going to get any benefit from at least saying, hey, we were in a tough conference and we actually made our conference playoff. And who knows what happens when the ball's tipped when it's one game. You know what I mean? Like, and so when you have these divisions, then we need to think of a better way to figure out our conference tournament. Like the GMC, they allow everybody in. You know, I'm sure there's another, you know, the South Jersey tournament. I would love to know how that works. I have no freaking clue. I've asked the guy on Twitter how it works.
Mike down there?
Yeah, and he's a good guy. I'm sure he's really busy. Yeah. But I don't know. I would be interested in studying those other conferences, because why can't we pick and choose, hey, we like what you do over here. All right, so let's take a little bit of that. We like what they're doing down there. All right, let's take a little bit of that. And then again, like we talked about, if it doesn't work, all right, let's go figure it out a different way, you know? And that's just kind of the way I look at it. But
do you think that, you know, to me the first step is, you know, the girls need to be separate from the boys. I don't, you know, you don't have to have the same divisions, matchups, you know, because first of all, to me, the girls should have the priority, because the girls basketball is, you know, the quality of girls basketball on the shore is, no offense to the boys, is, you know, way better, you know, in my opinion. I know I don't go watch boys basketball, you know, at all. You know, after sitting through a half at the WOPM, I don't want to see anymore. But to me, that's the first step is, you know, just be what the boys are doing. The girls could be separate. You don't have to have the same exact divisions, because a team that's really good on the boys team of public school, you know, a girls team might be, you know, awful, you know, just, you know, they have to. And I know in the past, from what I heard, you know, talking to coaches and ADs, you know, the boys have always, you know, they're the ones who possess the power, you know, when they're doing the divisions and stuff like that.
I think too, I mean, the other thing is, like, our associations are separate, and for whatever reasons we separated, right, wrong, or indifferent. But I think at some point we also have to come together a little bit and say, strength in numbers, this system's not working. Doesn't mean we need to have the same division. Doesn't mean we need to have the same type of scheduling. But, you know, I think together as a group, really trying to push that message would go a long way. And listen, to the athletic director's credit, I know, you know, I'll give mine credit. He's coming in as the new president starting in June, and he's got 2 daughters that play at Ocean, and he sees what's going on, and he's very aware of that. And he's on the side of, we need to fix this and we need to change it. My only thing is I would like to see that push. Just, hey, we've got a calendar year till next year. Let's try it next year. Let's not wait. You know, let's try something, and if it doesn't work, then we're going to try something new. But there's plenty of ideas out there, and there's a lot of good people with good ideas. Like I said, Tom Pasifaro, again, I hope I'm saying his name right. He's come up with a model, and that's always tweakable. And he's a guy that you should probably get on as well, because he's
definitely
about it. But like I said, you know, there's ways to do it, and let's just be willing to try something new.
And I think, you know, the lower, you know, like the public schools, where, you know, if you're not, you know, Madison, you go in there, you're playing basketball, you really don't do any other sport. But majority of the other public schools, you know, you got, you know, field hockey players, soccer players that are filling. You know, you have one or two basketball players, and then you're filling the roster. Now, the lower schools, I think, somebody that might have played basketball growing up, has no interest playing in college, but why do I want to go, take Frio, hate to pick on Frio Borough, but,
No, I don't really know
what?
her. I know she's a new coach, and I'm sure
Yeah.
she's doing a great job there. I know she comes up from up north, but they're
Why do you
trying
want,
to build a program right now.
yeah,
You know,
like a random kid that played basketball growing up, doesn't take it serious but wants to play? Why do I want to, I want to go play and play, lose to St. John Vianney twice, during the season, I think if the division, if it's more competitive, it won't affect kids' morale on the lower teams, and same way with the good teams. Dawn trying to keep her team motivated. You're going off playing a top 10 team in the country, and then next week, you're playing one of the weaker teams in the Shore. So I had this discussion with a soccer coach last year when they were doing the back-to-back home and away just for COVID reasons. He goes, if I lose 6-0, how am I getting my team motivated 2 days later? And he said that was one reason why soccer got away from playing each opponent twice.
and you got to make that change for next year, especially because. And listen, we could spend a whole other podcast on the NJSAA, the what's going on there, and the fact that we're reducing games and now
Getting rid of a TOC.
And for what? For what? And it's going to force these kids. And some kids have the economic means to go pay for trainers, and great, or pay for AAU. But a lot of kids don't. There's a lot of kids that don't. And now you're forcing these kids to go play in these AAU tournaments, which is fine. I have no problem with AAU, but they have how many games in a weekend? 5, 6 sometimes. So we're worried about these kids playing too many games, but yet we're going to push them towards these AAU, which they're now playing 6 games in a weekend. Like, I don't know. To me, that just doesn't make sense. And maybe there's valid reason and stats and analytics behind it. I haven't seen that yet, but I would love to. But I don't know. I think that right there, what you just said, Nick, is first fix. Next year, we're going to keep the same divisions or whatever the case may be, but instead of playing them twice, it's one time. And if you want to play, if I wanted to play Homedale a second time, I can schedule that on division.
Yeah. And that's amazing how, they cut the winter sports, they're cutting basketball, but football season seems to get longer every year.
I know.
It's the great state of New Jersey.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Just want, switch subjects from scheduling. Talk your team this year. Started off strong. Kind of up and down. How do you think your team's been playing as of late?
Yeah, I think like you mentioned, we started off 3-1, and we were kind of hit by the injury bug and the
COVID bug,
the COVID and the sickness, and whatever the case may be, and we were kind of at one point down to 5 kids on our varsity roster. We pulled up 2 JV kids that are now varsity kids because we pulled them up, and we won some games that probably were 50-50, and then you get into not the dog days, but the long winter of January, and it's tough to play those games. And like I mentioned before, in 1 week we went from playing Jackson Memorial to Rumson to RBC to Bishop Eustace. We didn't win any of those games, but I don't know. I think you can learn a lot from playing those tough teams. And as we're finally back into Group 1. We haven't been in Group 1 in a couple of years, and they kept trying to remind the kids, like, listen, this is only going to get us together. Tough times don't last, but strong people do. And this sort of stuff will hopefully propel us when it comes to March.
Yep.
So, getting back to the question, we're 7-8 right now. We won 2 games this week against Raritan and Hudson. And we go into another tough week with Homedale and Trinity coming up. And, we picked up Toms River South, because we lost a game today, and just trying to reach out to a couple coaches to see who would be willing to play us. And I said I literally would travel the state, and I'm in this group chat with 250 coaches email we sent out. Shore Regional is willing to go anywhere, and thankfully it's only down to Toms River, which isn't that far. But it's just we gotta keep an even keel, and once March 1st hits, it's on, or February 28th, whenever states start, and that's the season for us, is getting to February 28th healthy and hungry and ready to go. So
You you know you're in a tough division like usually. You think that will help prepare your team? Come March for states
I think so. I mean, Homedale, you put Homedale in any other
division.
conference, any other
Yeah.
division,
Yeah.
conference, whatever you want to say, like they're probably a top 3 team in
Hmm.
any other conference, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we know what RBC has. They have 2 Power 5 kids with other Division One kids on their roster. Rumson is rounding into form, so I would love to pick off one of those teams, and you would hear me celebrating from here to wherever you guys live. But yeah, I think it definitely kind of gives us a little bit of an edge in terms of the schedule that we face and the situations that we see. A couple of years ago, and we're going back 6 years, but we were 7-20 entering the state playoffs. We were a 14 seed, and we beat the 3, we beat the 6, and we beat the 2 back to back to back. I won't bring up what happened in the finals because that was like a tidal wave against us. But I think playing that schedule really does help us. And at times it stinks going in that locker room after a loss. Like any coach has to, kind of pick up the pieces. But I think in the end, it really is going to help us come February and into March.
And,
Now, sorry, Doug, just
no, that's all right. I always say that you guys, you're a good program in Monmouth County. I'd say middle program.
Yeah.
You guys have a tough job because you have so many parochial and non-public schools
in
to
that
compete
area.
with. In Ocean County, it's only Donovan Catholic. So having a player like Riley Drehos, having her in the program, and what does she mean to your program, and having some success, do you hope that drives kids to stay home instead of going to the non-public and parochial schools that are available in Monmouth County?
And I think Mike Laser said it last year on Nick's podcast. It's like we're in the triangle of death, between Ranny and Trinity and RBC. And listen, those are good schools. Like I won't say anything negative about them. If a kid chooses to go to a private school, they choose to go to a private school for whatever reason that may be. But I think having a girl like Riley, who, off the court is the most humble kid. Like to the point where we almost have to force her to, tweet herself a little bit, get herself out there. Like she's a kid that just wants to, I think I might be butchering the comment, but it's like a lunch pail kid, right? Just goes there, does her job, does what she wants to do, doesn't want anybody to really know about it, doesn't care if she gets the credit. We'll blow her up on social media from our end, but like, I know deep down inside she's probably like, Coach, stop doing that. I don't want that. But yeah, I think it shows that no matter what high school you go to, right, whether it's your home school or the school down the street, I just think that if you do things the right way and you work hard and you show up with the attitude that she has, you're gonna get the credit. No matter you're at our school, the school next door, or the school that has the fancy uniforms, I just think that a girl like that really does change your program and how she holds herself, not only on the court, but in the classroom and in the hallways. One of our administrators said it the other day. She goes, that really is the nicest girl we have in our school. Like, and she's quiet. She doesn't, she doesn't boast herself up. She's just Riley,
During your winter, your Christmas tournament, I think it was the Lacey game. You guys were trailing in the third quarter. She had a nice third quarter, but she got more excited when one of her teammates, she was jumping up at half court when one of her teammates hit a 3-pointer. And, she doesn't get that right when she scored. It just, to me, it's, like you said, speaks to her character, honest, I know everyone says, I have a bias to Riley, and I probably do, but it's not for basketball stuff. It's it's stuff like that. She has such a good character, and seems like the perfect teammate. Always supporting her team, trying to get her teammate involved, and a world of talent on the court with her.
Yeah, I mean, like she's just a different type of kid in a good way. Like she'll read a book about Bitcoin. Like she knows more about Bitcoin than I do. Like I ask her for advice, or so that's just the type of kid she is. And I think any program, hopefully at the next level, that's lucky enough to have her, will see that she's more than some of that
Basketball player. Yep.
Yeah, she is everything you want in your culture that you have on your team. And I'm just lucky that I've had the opportunity to coach her and see her grow from a 14-year-old to the young adult that she is. And I know that outside of the walls of Shore Regional, she's going to do great things no matter what she decides to do.
She's a great ambassador for your program. She's going to be at the college level. She'll do the same thing. And coaches see that there's a lot of value in that. So, I never met her, but everything Nick says and you say, just the kind of kid that you want to coach.
Yeah, and she just comes from a great family. I could go on. That's another podcast, our fourth podcast.
We'll keep booking you.
Just a great family, and
her mother's great.
Yeah,
and just like very one of those parents. There was a soccer player. To me, one of the best soccer players. You tell the parents how good her daughter is. Thank you. So humble. Which no offense in the basketball world, you don't see that from parents. You tell somebody that kid, oh yeah, kid's pretty good. Oh yeah, we know it's not that. Another player, I want to bring up, Madison Larosa. She graduated, and she's having a very successful season down there in Stockton. And just what did she mean, and what did she mean to the program? How do you think she also helped Riley turn into the leader of the team?
I think with Madison, she was. I just had this conversation with someone today. She maximized her potential, right? And everybody has different potential, right? Whether it's going to be a WNBA player or outside of basketball, whether they're going to be a CP, whatever. She maximized her potential with us, I felt, and she has exceeded my expectations. I not that I was ever worried about her at Stockton, but the way she is as a kid, I mean, her hard work, she's in the gym more now than she was when she was in high school. And she was in the gym 24 hours pumping weights, doing kickboxing now. I mean, I was just talking to her a couple of days ago, and I guess, whatever the case may be, she was is coming off the bench, and instead of kind of complaining about it or whining about it, she went out and off the bench scored 22 points against Rowan, and that was a huge victory.
Yeah, that's a big win.
It's a huge win for that program. And that just shows you the type of kid that she is. So I think, she wasn't always the most vocal. And it's tough as a 16, 17, 18-year-old to be vocal in front of your peers. And very few have that, I think, quality of them. And those that do, that's great. But she was the kid that, went out, was guarded hard the night before. The next day at practice, she's not losing a sprint. She's diving on the floor. Then the next day, she's getting guarded 90 feet away from the basket. And then the next day in practice, she's there. Maybe she didn't play well, and she's there a half hour before practice getting shots up. She's there a half hour after practice getting shots up. She then goes and runs on the track in the middle of the winter to do her sprints outside. Like, you love that type of kid. And then her just fiery competitiveness. Yeah. She never wanted to lose. She would literally, beat up somebody if she had to, to win that game. She's diving on the floor, crashing into the stands. And I think, as she grew from a freshman to a senior, you saw her overall game develop a little bit more. But just the way she carried herself on and off the court really started to show in those 4 years. And that's why, she's killing it right now. And I'm so proud of her. I would give my left pinky toe or my left leg to Coach Ted Madison Larosa again. That's how impactful she is on my program.
I think the last I saw, she was, maybe 6th or 7th in the conference in scoring as a freshman.
And the NJAC's legit. I mean, the NJAC is legit. Yes, this isn't a cream puff, Division III, conference. She's playing against kids that probably were borderline Division I players, if not were Division I players, and decided to come play home instead, or maybe that wasn't their path. They wanted to do something different, whatever the case may be. Like that's like playing in the A Central every night. That's how tough that conference is.
And no shock, a lot of those kids come from the short conference.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I know she don't care, but you see all the pressure. Or D1, D1 lock, D1 lock, and then I see all these D1 locks that don't play, end up quitting, by after their sophomore year, basketball altogether. And I just she went to Stockton. She's gonna get a good education down there. She's kicking butt on the court. Think hopefully that opens the eyes to other people, because let's be honest, the chances of going to the WNBA are slim to none.
I have a better chance of hitting the Powerball, and I'm not doing
Exactly.
that.
So whenever a kid asks me their advice, for advice, so college, and first thing I say, do they have your major, and are they giving you any money, whether it's athletic or academics? Because to me, you should go whoever has your major and whatever's giving you, where you don't have a lot of debt coming out when you're starting your career. Do you think, that's why I tweet about her, hopefully to open the eyes of other players that say, oh, look, she's having a very successful season, and, and she's going to come out, with a degree. Granted, she's only a freshman year, but do you think there is too much pressure, kids being told, D1?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little pressure isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I put some pressure on my kids this season, talking about what we could potentially do in Group 1.
Mm-hmm.
I just think at the end of the day, like, each kid is different, obviously, and each situation is different. But, it really is the time that they're going to put in. And if they're willing to sacrifice their socialization of being a normal high school kid, and if you want to spend your weekends going to the hoop group, that's great. If you want to spend your weekends with your friends and going to the beach, then okay. But you're obviously not going to maybe accomplish what those kids that are sacrificing on the weekends doing. So I don't know. I don't know if I have the right answer for that. But I don't know. I think a little pressure sometimes is good when it's warranted. If that makes sense.
It definitely takes a different kind of kid to want to sacrifice that. Being social when you're 16, 17 years old is a lot easier than going to the gym and lifting weights and running. And it just takes a different kind of kid. Now, I always said it's not the level you play at, it's the level of your commitment that makes the difference. So you could be a Division I player and be great. You could be a Division III player and be great. I know we were bashing football before, but football always seems to find those kids that play Division III and find the talent.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. It's just what you put into it then that matters.
Yeah, I get another comment. It's not about the 2 hours, right? That you're at practice. It's what you do in those 2 hours. That's what it means. I'm stealing that line from that wrestling movie of the 80s. I can't remember it, but it's not about the 6 minutes. It's what you do in the 6 minutes.
Vision Quest. Vision Quest.
I love that movie.
Classic movie.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. That's kind of where I go with things. So
I have one more thing, and then I know Doug has a couple questions. You had an event planned for tomorrow. And I know it's been postponed. Just talk a little bit about the event and where the proceeds were going.
So we had a young man that was in the Bois side. His name was Jack the Bois. He played for sure regional. He graduated 2 or 3 years ago, and unfortunately, he passed away a couple months ago from, I believe it was diabetes as a result, right? A complication of it. And so I had actually, before I coached the girls, he was the last boys team that I was associated with as a freshman. And then I coached them again when I used to coach freshman baseball. I got to know the family very well. Our head boys coach was his varsity coach, Eric Mazer. And, Eric kind of came to me and said, what do you think about doing some sort of event recognizing Jack? And so I said, listen, I'm in. You don't have to ask me twice. The family's amazing. They're great people. Obviously, it's a sad and tragic thing that happened to everybody associated. So long story short, we were going to have a doubleheader between our boys and girls team versus Ocean Township. Unfortunately, it was postponed to the 26th, same time, 2 and 4. All proceeds will go to the Pediatric Diabetes Research Foundation in honor of Jack. We were going to present the family with a ball and a jersey, and then, kind of celebrate. Obviously it's sad, but at the same time, we want to celebrate Jack's life. He's a great kid. I keep saying they're great kids, but they really are great kids. Like, and hopefully kind of make it a yearly tradition where, an idea that we floated around at my school was, Ocean's about a mile away from us, 2 miles away. And just kind of each year, 1 year there, 1 year at their place or our place, excuse me, and just have like the Jack Cup. They had a young lady that passed away a few years ago named Maya, and try to make like the girls' game is the Maya Cup, the boys' game is the Jack Cup, and give whatever we sell at the door, concessions, 50-50, whatever the case may be, and just donate it to either of the foundations, and do something positive for the community of West Long Branch, Oceanport, Ocean Township, and so on and so forth, and kind of make it a little annual rivalry thing. But at the end of the day, it's for a good cause.
Yeah, I love being involved with events like that. I always try to make sure, Glenn, when he ran the Coaches vs. Cancer, I always try to circle those days to try to help out. Whenever, I know 2 years ago, I think it was the first time I, saw your team play live was against Ocean at the Maya Cup. So, any way, me and Doug could help promote those type of events, and I know Doug feels strongly about that as well.
I appreciate that, guys.
So, anyway, we'll promote that, before the, next Friday.
2 Fridays, February 26th, whatever.
Oh, February.
February 26th. Yep, that's when we pushed it back to.
Okay, so we'll definitely mark that and make sure we get that.
Appreciate that.
All right, Doug, I'll let you take it away. I know you got a few questions, then we'll let Coach go.
Well, that was the one question was about Riley, but of course, being a Shore Regional guy, I can't really let you go without talking about Nancy Williams. Listen, when you think about coaches in the Shore Conference in all the years, Warren Wolf in football, Ed Wizolinsky in boys basketball, and then you have Nancy Williams. Like, that's the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
The ladies in the Hall of Fame in 2 different sports as a coach, I believe, softball and field hockey. One of the top 5 winningest field hockey coaches in America, I believe. I had the pleasure or displeasure of coaching softball against her when Shore was in B Central and I was coaching at Hudson. The first, a quick story, because no matter who you talk to, everybody's a different opinion about Nancy, and most of them are negative. But I don't listen. I try to form my own opinion. And,
of course.
First time I play her, we go to Shore Regional, and we're bringing the lineup cards to home plate, and I said, "Hey, Coach, nice to meet you. Good luck." She didn't say a word to me. She stared at me and walked away. I was like, all right, maybe everybody's right. Okay. And she proceeded to kick our ass. So the second time we play at our place, she's complaining about everything. And, the facilities at Hudson aren't the greatest. The batter's box is wrong. The lines are wrong. I'm like, oh, my God, what? Like, you're just going to kill us anyway. Just get it, get it over with. Second year, we play them at our place first, and we played them pretty good. We play them at Shore. We got to exchange the line of cards, and she actually said, "Good luck." I'm like, "Whoa, all right, making some progress here, making some progress." And we played them tough. I think we lost by 2 runs. And the next year, we play at your place. I think it was a 1-run game. She wasn't too happy with me. Then the next time we play at our place, and now my whole goal was I just want to beat her one time. I don't care what else I do. I just want to beat her one time. We have her down 7-2 in the top of the 7th, right? I'm thinking, this is it. My pitcher's on fire. We're good. I'm smiling. They score 6 runs in the top of the 7th. Now we're down 8-7. I'm like, okay. So we load the bases with 1 out. I'm like, this is it. I'm taking a chance here. We're either gonna win the game or we're gonna lose. Hit and run. Girl laces a ball. Third baseman makes a diving catch, steps on third, double play, ends the game. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. She came up to me, didn't say anything, ran right up to me. She put her arm around me, said, "What you're doing for these girls here is amazing. This team has never been good. The girls respect you. They're responding to you. And as a coach, that's all I care about is that you're taking care of these girls." And I was like, whoa, did I just win the World Series? Like, she went from not talking to me at all to and from that point on, we were like best friends. So I'm sure you have a story about her, but just the legacy she left at Shore Regional, whether she was liked or disliked, the shadow has to be pretty big there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, anybody that's great at what they do, to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs, right? And that's the type of person that she was. I mean, her legacy, she's been gone now, not dead, obviously, but gone from regional for, I think we're going on a decade almost, because I only worked with her for 2 or 3 years, and we quickly bonded. I mean, I was a young teacher. I was 23, 24 when I got hired there, but my dad was a high school coach, and so she knew him through coaching as well. And so, we had great respect. I had great respect for her, and just kind of picking her mind on, at that time I was only coaching boys, but just picking her mind on how to deal with athletes and work with kids, and not so much the X's and O's or the strategies, but just how to build a relationship, off the field or off the court with these kids I felt more important at that time, as she was leaving and I was ascending a little bit at Shore Regional. But yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know where we are at in girls sports if Nancy Williams doesn't come through Shore Regional.
100%.
I don't think we're at the level we are. And, we have obviously field hockey and girls soccer. And I know she didn't coach girls soccer, but,
right.
Just starting that tradition at Shore for women's sports, it was huge. And you saw kind of go over softball, obviously, when you were coaching girls lacrosse, and we're getting there in girls basketball. We'll continue to get there, but yeah, I mean, if they ever renamed Shore Regional to Shore Regional Nancy Williams, I wouldn't have no issue with it. I mean, what the lady did with 4 small towns was incredible. When you think about it, I mean, we have 600 kids in our school, and she was able to go out and compete with schools 4 or 5 times the size of us, and that's a testament to her and the kids that she coached.
I think you're right. The whole women's sports in the Shore Conference wouldn't be as big or where we are without people like her.
Yeah, and she won a state title. I believe she won a state title in girls basketball. I mean, she literally coached everything. I don't know if I'm getting the story right, but I believe she was coaching basketball at the same time she was coaching bowling. That's what she was. I mean, listen, the 80s were a different time, obviously.
Right.
That's the type of person she was. She was trying to promote women's athletics at a time where women's athletics, was in the rearview mirror, and I think a lot can be said about her, what she did for these young women.
All right. You got anything else, Doug?
No, that's it. Listen,
sorry, longer than 20 minutes, but this is gonna be this is
right. Nick just paid for Zoom for a month, so we're good. We can go.
Yeah. I didn't know because I only did one podcast last year with it was with Jordan Keenan and Rachel Capua, and I had no issues. And then we're doing, we finished with Dawn. She was on for like 20 minutes, and then we started our thing and then all of a sudden a clock came out. You only had 10 minutes left, and then because we had to start it back up, and I didn't know. So I looked into it. You got to, if you want to have more than one person on the podcast, you have to pay because you only get 40 minutes. So, but I thought she, once she got off, it was just 2 of us. I thought it'd be all right, but whatever. We should do it because eventually, maybe we'll get 2 players on, or it'll be 4 of us. So
I appreciate this, guys. Like I said in the beginning, what you guys are doing is awesome. I'm very appreciative. I look forward to the podcast every Friday or Saturday morning.
Yeah, it'd be Saturday.
I know I took too long.
No.
My wife.
My friend that loads is probably sleeping already anyway.
But no, I really do appreciate everything you guys are doing, and if there's anything I can do to help you guys out, obviously let me know, and enjoy, be safe. I don't know what the weather's like. I haven't looked outside in the last 45 minutes, but good night, guys. And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you, Coach, and hopefully I get to meet you in person one of these days. So
definitely.
And good luck this week.
Thank you. Appreciate that, guys.
Good luck.
I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
All right, take care.
All right. Thank you, Coach, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and
Yes.
he shares a lot of beliefs that most of the
Mhm.
shore coaches have about with the scheduling and stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't let him get away without a Nancy Williams question. So
No, Nancy. Yeah. So we kind of got a lot to go over.
yeah,
First, I guess congratulations, Justine. All
yeah,
American McDonald's All American. Deserved. A lot of controversy with Maddie St. Rose. Because obviously snubbed, and you could see by the Twitter outpouring. Even people that haven't coached her, that don't know her. I think I saw an AAU coach that never even met her. And not understanding how she got snubbed. And it seems like politics is in play there because it seems like the main reason because she's not going to a big time basketball school, but she might end up being the president of the United States. With going to Princeton, and I know she's a very smart kid, and she's the type that's going to make a difference in the world.
yeah. And congratulations to Justine
Yeah.
and Madison not making it has nothing to do with Justine
No,
making it.
absolutely not.
And Justine has worked her butt off
Yes.
to get to the level she has and to have the chance to play major basketball at Tennessee is just a once in a lifetime thing. On the other side, I think I tweeted today when we were growing up, kids that went to Ivy League were applauded.
Yeah.
It was a kid in your class got into an Ivy League school. You're like, whoa, that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
As I'm coasting through high school and seeing these kids, but that's great. And it should be celebrated. I mean, that's a great accomplishment in and of itself to be a basketball player and end up at Princeton or any Ivy League school is another accomplishment. And if the reason is that she's not going to a major basketball school to play, if that's the reason they left her off, then shame on McDonald's and shame on anybody associated with that,
That's
because
involved
that
with
kid
that.
deserved it. And
Yep.
to take it away from her because she's going to an Ivy League school, it's BS.
Yep. So, but she's saying everything. I think there was a quote after her game yesterday. That she has. I think she said she has nothing to prove, but she's 100% right. She's done it all. Probably going to be the first time ever three-peat player of the year in the state of New Jersey. So it's just I just like voicing my opinion. She got screwed, and but
And
yeah,
to her getting a jersey with a McDonald's symbol on it and a pair of sneakers, it's not going to compare to what she's going to get at Princeton. So, it's unfortunate, but she's the kind of kid that's going to handle it gracefully and
yes,
just make herself better from it. So,
yeah. I mean, the first time I met her was actually got to speak to her. When I gave her the gift card a couple of weeks ago, and great kid. You could just tell. Another humble, humble player, and whatever she decides to do, she's obviously going to be successful. Like we said when we were talking to Dawn last week. I guess you saw a few good games this week. The only thing I really was at was the RV event that Coach Corrado put together. It was a fun event. Um, I just got a few notes. Then I want to talk about the games you've been to because you were at some, three really good. Well, I mean, I guess next week we'll talk about the Manchester Trinity game.
Right.
So the RV event started early. Two gyms going. He had them half an hour delayed. That it was good. Plenty of time in between games. They didn't have to rush. First game was Brick versus RV. Anthony, always has his team ready down there, and they were very tough on Brick defensively. Sure, lost 5, won 4. Would have been 5-5. I'll get to that at the end. But that was the first game. The next game was probably the best matchup of the day. It was Donovan versus Cherokee. I was looking forward to that. Two very different styles. Cherokee, running their plays. They played different than when, they did not hold the ball like they did against St. Rose 2 years ago. They just ran their offense, and they just, executed flawlessly. I talked to Coach Powell after later on, and I said your team just so fundamentally sound, and just ran their offense perfectly. Um, they were tough on Gabby Ross defensively. Gabby did not, it was probably the worst game for the season. You're probably not going to see a game like that. But Cherokee, was able to beat Donovan in a very strong defensive game. I caught the end of Manchester Gloucester Catholic. Exciting game, went down to the end. Manchester had a chance to win it at the end. Missed the layup. Squan Camden Catholic. Squan dominated. A lot of everybody got on the court from Madison. I just want to call Camden Catholic has two strong offensive players, and you know like you posted something. Defense never gets recognized, and the job Georgia Heine did on one of their players basically took her out. I think the only time the girl scored one was when Georgia was on the bench. And then when, last week we touched on a little bit, Maggie had a very strong quarter for St. Rose in the first, and then they switched Georgia on there, and she only scored 5 points. So I just want to give a shout out to Georgia because, what she does on the defensive end is so impressive. And, hopefully that's a sign of the things to come for Squan, getting back on track. The last game was Shore Regional versus Bishop Eustis. Bishop Eustis was hot. They just played Shore really tough, and were able to win pretty easily over Shore Regional. But like Will said, hopefully that's a good test to help them get ready for states, because come states, they're going to be in a lot of games like that. And then I want to comment, Paul VI, backed out. I don't want them to get mad, backed out, but supposedly they had a couple COVID cases, but they were able to play on Tuesday, and then I hear it was just stomach ache. I don't know, but they did not play St. John Vianney. I felt bad for St. John Vianney because they only had a few hours notice. Luckily they didn't leave yet. And if I heard correctly, I think Dawn already replaced that game with Life Center. I think. Don't quote me on that. So that was disappointed because I know a lot of people were looking forward to this, and that would have been the first time me seeing St. John Vianney this season. So, but
I'd like to keep my mouth shut on that subject, but
yeah, let it happen. I mean, we're short people. Who cares?
It's very. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying me to do this, so I'm going to say what
exactly.
I want anyway.
Yeah.
It's easy to beat up on teams that are 0-5 at the time, 113-40.
Yep.
And then when you got a chance to play a team ranked above you, to come up with some excuse, I mean, that to me, I don't know the coach. I don't know. I never met him or her. I don't know, but that speaks to the character a little bit. When you're trying to push teams to 100, when you got the chance, and then you got a chance to take out a top 5 team in the country, number 1 in the state, and you don't take that chance, that's just weak.
Yeah. Talking about the scores that they do, from my, they played Cherokee, close game, and from the people that were there, Paul VI was slowing it down, and then they played Life Center. They lost by 2. From the updates I was seeing on Twitter, they were holding the ball. So it seems like the tough games, they hold the ball, and then when the team that has 0 wins, they're in a full court press, running the score up. So
I guess they felt that losing 2 games in a week would have hurt the ranking. So whatever.
Yeah, but I think losing to St. John Vianney isn't going to hurt anybody's ranking because at this point it's just expected. But 2 years ago they beat a team 96-13, and a lot of hype. From I was at the St. Rose game in the States. They do like to talk trash. And, they got a little karma, paid back that game, blowing a 16 or 17-point lead with only 3 minutes left. So, one thing I love about the Shore, everybody respects each other, and, there's no really bad blood. It seems like Paul VI, is the enemy, even in South Jersey. So
they're not doing themselves any favors.
No. So, if they end up meeting in non-public A South jersey. We'll get the matchup. Um, yeah, I just feel bad for the St. John Vianney girls. You're getting ready, and they had Christ the King the next day,
Yeah.
and so you're preparing for two different games with no practices, in between, and so tough for them. But as St. John Vianney, they handled it, and they were able to, beat Christ the King. And I don't know if tomorrow was canceled yet already, but
I think
hopefully.
I read that it was, and
It's so disappointing.
yeah, it is disappointing because hopefully they can play that game
Yeah,
again
yeah.
somehow, some way, and Dawn will do it. So
Dawn will play
if they can
whoever.
fit it into the schedule, they'll do it.
So talk about early in the week you saw Donovan Manchester. Talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that game.
First of all, congratulations to Kaya Joseph scoring her
Yes.
1,000th point. 2 years at Barnegat, 2 years at Donovan. It's no matter what, it's a great accomplishment. And, it was good to see her teammates getting her involved early in the game. They ran a lot through
She's a
her.
great kid.
And she, great kid, great family. I always talk to her parents. They love our podcast. They're just great people. But she played like a grown woman. I think I tweeted that. She just dominated. She was hitting from the outside, hitting from the inside, grabbing rebounds, and she just couldn't be stopped. And she got her 20 or 21st point, got her 1,000th point. Congratulations. At that point, I think, Donovan really dominated the game from the beginning. I had not seen them play that well as a team in the first 3 quarters of the game. Crisp passing, backdoor cuts, talking, playing defense, everybody doing their job.
They could be trouble if they play that way.
We say that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the fourth quarter, 53-30 lead going into the fourth,
Mm.
and some of the things started rearing their ugly head again. Manchester, they started pressing them for whatever reason. They didn't do this earlier. I don't know. Forced a couple turnovers. Amaya Bray had a big second half. I think 16 points in the second half. And you could see the momentum. I think Manchester got it to 9 at one point. Then Kaya hit a big three to put them at 12, and it never got under double digits after that. But talking to a couple of Donovan parents, they said, it's just we can't go a whole game without something like that happening at some point. And it's frustrating for them because you see how good they can be.
Yeah.
They're running Manchester off the court, and then they let them right back in the game. And, again, against, not saying Manchester's a bad team because they've been playing pretty well, but when you run into a top-notch team, let's say the Final Four is Vianney, RBC, Manasquan, and Donovan. You can't do that against one of those teams. It's just not. If you get your foot on you got to keep it on the keep it down the whole game. And so Donovan swept Manchester, probably their biggest threat in the South, and so that should clear the way for them winning the South. But it was a good game. It turned out to be a good game. It just wasn't that good early. Then last night I went to Toms River North Jackson, and that you talk about a good atmosphere for girls basketball at Jackson. Stands were packed.
Good.
Game was on TV. Toms River North had their side packed. Jackson had their side packed. Great atmosphere. Yelling back and forth, the excitement, and that's what you want in a girls' basketball game. That's at the shore. That's everything you want. Jackson got out to a lead. Toms River North hung. It was back and forth all game. At the end of the game, I'll go into the refereeing, but take nothing away from North. They won the game. They did a good job. I think. Hold on, let me see. Gia Passat dominated in the middle.
Very strong second half, right?
Yeah, it was going to be a great matchup with her and Amber Williams. Amber got foul trouble in the first half, had to sit up, big bulks in the second half. But Zoe Macy's a player for Jackson. Anytime they needed a big rebound or a big basket, she stepped up and got it. Chloe Messer had a good game yesterday. So, it was my first time seeing Jackson play this year. I'm impressed. And I think that was in A South, their first test.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they didn't come out on top. But when Gia's playing the way she did, and Torres had a great game yesterday. Again, a couple of key steals at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Fed an easy layup to Gia, and Zoe Mayfield came back down, got a 3-point play. It was just back and forth. The crowd was into it. Unfortunately, the referees were not up to the caliber of the game.
Yeah.
And we've seen that a couple times so far this year in girls basketball. You get a big game, a good matchup, and you let the two teams slug it out. Unfortunately, the referees get involved, and it's not always a good thing. Just they were. I have a problem with whenever there's a good boys basketball game. You get
the top
CBA
refs.
Marlboro, RBC CBA,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You get Jimmy Lester. You get all the top officials, the boys officials doing those games.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they even throw a 3-man crew out there in some of those games. And then you get big girls games, and you see some refs you never saw before. Mm-hmm. Some that consistently have not been good over the years. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate, but something has to be done about that, because you can't have big games like that come down to obvious missed calls. Not just missed calls. Everybody's going to miss a call.
Yeah.
But 2 kicks right in front of you don't call it kicks. I think at one point, Tom's River North, 1 or 2 points, they had 6 players on the court coming out of a timeout.
Huh.
I mean, people saw it. The refs didn't see it. And even late in the game, in the fourth quarter, Chloe Messer gets called for a charge that I didn't think was a charge. And I'm sitting with Tom's River North people. That's right. And everybody's saying, what a terrible call. This is such a big game, such a close game. You can't have a call like that. And maybe that would have swung the momentum the other way. I don't know. But it's just unfortunate that whoever assigns these refs does not take into account
the
matchup and send 2 of the better refs. Now, I don't know if they pull the same refs from the same pool as boys and girls. I don't know if some just do boys and some just do girls. But it seems to me in the short conference tournament, you got guys that do
both
boys games throughout the year, do the finals of the girls game.
Yeah.
Why can't you send them down to a game like that?
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. And again, it's not anybody's fault. And Tom's River North won the game, and they play again Monday. So can't wait for the rematch. But it's not the first time this year that we've seen that referees get involved in a game that they're overmatched for.
Yeah, that 2 years ago, short conference tournament, it was early round, so there was a lot of blowouts, and it was Jackson Marlboro. Everyone had circled that was the game. All the reporters were at that game, and only 2 refs, and both and from my understanding, both coaches, Rachel and Right, we're like only 2 refs, especially both of them play at a fast pace.
Fast pace, right?
That the refs aren't going to be able to keep up, with them. And unfortunately, Sammy J got hurt. Brooke tore MCL that game, just because they couldn't keep up with the pace, and they let the game get out of control. So yeah, I don't know why they don't see the matchups, because I mean, even I don't know how scheduling goes. I think it goes a week in advance. I think they figure it out like a week in advance. I don't know. They're like, oh, this is going to be the good matchup. Let's make sure we got 2. If the schedule's light, let's get them a third ref.
Right.
I don't know if it's because it's Ocean County. I don't know how that works, but
I don't know how that works, but it seems to me that it's Ocean County, Monmouth County. It just seems that girls basketball gets the short end of the referee stick, and again, I hate this sound like every time it's against girls basketball, but it seems to be. It's just unfortunate.
I sort of first half of Colts Neck. I just want to bring up Colts Neck a little bit. Coach Russo, they just they're on a nice little run. I think they're 10-5 now, if I think they're 10-5. They look good. Um, they played Long Branch. Long Branch doesn't. They didn't really have any height, but they had four really fast girls on the court that played defense. But Colts Neck they just look good. The way they move the ball, and um, get to the open shot. They don't force any bad shots. They just look really good. And if I am a parent of a kid that lives in Colts Neck, Coach Russo is one of the, might be the very best to ever do it in the Shore for girls basketball. Crazy, you're absolutely crazy not to send your kid to Colts Neck. Um, just to, just see what he's doing with this team. And they start, you start building and building a program there. They get some, really good basketball players in there. God help, the Shore's in trouble, especially with his coach, and everybody touches the ball there. Like I said, nobody forces up bad shot. Like I said, I was only there for the first half, but they won by 30, I think. But Colts Neck, it seems like softball, soccer. Their soccer programs have been good. The Gatorade Player of the Year for track, with Shapiro, and I think they have a boys that's equally as good. They had the softball New Jersey Player of the Year. So they're doing Colts Neck. Hats off to the AD. He's getting the right coaches in there, and the girls basketball. Watch out in another 2 years. They're gonna be a force to be reckoned with.
And with Coach Russo's reputation and the fact that the Freehold Township Freehold Regional
Yes,
District,
you pretty much go wherever you want.
Go wherever. I mean, you see him, and we know they won in the past. Colts Neck's been a team in the past. JT had that team rolling. But you see Coach Russo, what he's done, his reputation, and you have the opportunity to go there and play. I mean, not only keeping girls in Colts Neck, but anybody in Freehold Regional has a chance to go play there. So, they could turn that around pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was just, we saw them play the WOBM. Unfortunately, that was the RBC game, I think. But even then, they were getting a lot of open looks. They just, no consistent. They had Jacobs yesterday. She was on fire. I think she hit her first three threes. So yeah, they're gonna make a little noise, I think, in the postseason. The way they've been playing. You wanna do our players of the week?
Sure.
Division players of the week.
Do that. But last week, I think we had they were all the same?
Yes, this week only one difference. So I'll let you lead the way because I know you got all the stats.
All right. I don't know which division we picked differently, but I'll just go through.
A South.
Stop me at the A South.
Yeah.
All right. A North. I guess we both had Cassidy Brown from Middletown South. I think 3 wins: 12 against Middletown North, 8 against Colts Neck, and 21 against Howell. 3 good wins there for Middletown South in the division. A Central, I think this is the second week in a row, we both went with Julia Corsantino from Brumston.
Yeah,
you look back to her last 5 or 6 games, she's on fire.
She's having a great season. A great couple weeks.
This week, 27-7 against Marlboro, 21-5 against St. Rose, and 13 against Holmdel.
And against some beast teams.
Yeah. I mean, she is just on fire. A South, I went with Gia Passat, Toms River North, 12-12 and 5 blocks against Atlantic City in an out-of-conference game, and then 17-9 and 4 blocks against Jackson Memorial last night. So good week for her.
Yeah. I went with Iana Shupik from Toms River East. They played Brick Memorial and Central. I think it was Central. And she 22 points and 21 points. Sophomore. Talking to some players out of Toms River, they said, good player. Look forward to see her develop over the next, couple of years. So, yeah, that was the only difference.
All right. Then I guess B North, we both had Madison St. Rose again.
which is the third time for me and second time for you.
Second time for me. I don't know what I was thinking.
Uh,
I mean, look the numbers.
well, Iris
33.
Iris had a good week that first week.
Yes, she
That's
did.
what
Yes,
you
she
went with,
did.
Iris.
She
I
lit
went
it
with.
up in the Christmas tournament.
Yes.
33 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals against Montclair Immaculate, top
Yeah.
10 team in the
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
21 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals against Christ the King,
Mm-hmm.
who you know the reputation
Their
of Christ the
rivalry
King.
there. Yep.
I mean, the players that have been in that rivalry, you could go
Yeah.
through the whole list. I mean, All-Americans,
Mm-hmm.
Olympians, just
WNBA.
amazing. Yeah, amazing. And then finished off the week 21, 6, 3 assists, 7 steals against Neptune. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a pedestrian week for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
B Central, we both went with Haley Poser from Ranny.
Freshman.
17 points against a tough Staten Island Academy team.
Yep.
And 16 against Point Beach in a B Central division game.
She's a very good shooter. Very, I only saw them play quarter and a half.
And it's amazing, every week somebody different steps up on Randy. And
this is 3 straight weeks and 3 different players. Yep.
Yep. And then B South, we both went with Maddie Bell from Lacey. I think this is the second time I had her.
Yes.
11 points, 10 rebounds against Washington Township, who's been a perennial Group 4 stalwart. 25 and 18 against Brick.
Mm-hmm.
It's a heck of a game. And then 11 and 8 against Southern. So good week for Maddie. And then C North, we both went with Jen Farah, Point Borough. 17 and 5 against Wall, 18 and 6 against Howell, and 11 against Swan. Just a good kid.
Great kid.
Tough kid, strong kid, great soccer player. Just one of those kids you root for, and glad she had a great week.
Yeah, and that was a big win, because Point Borough's not having the season we thought they were going to have, but they beat Howell's got some players there, so that's a good victory for Point Borough, and hopefully Coach Drew gets them on track, because I know his teams always play hard, and the defensive teams, and we'd like to see them get back on track.
Yep.
So this week our Broad Street Doe Player of the Week is Julia Corsantino. Could have won it last week too. Last week was a very tough week, but she's just continuing her run. Like Will said, started off with only 1 win against, they blew out Middletown South opening round WOBM, and tough loss to Rainey by 2 points, and they're playing a brutal schedule. Which, talking to Dave over the last couple of seasons, he's another coach that does not back away.
Nope.
He rather his team lose to a top team than beating a lower level team by 30. So. And that's going to play dividends, come the postseason, especially, his team's rolling now. So, and Julia's been a big part of that. And everyone, they've been shooting the lights out. They played St. Rose. They just shot Cahill was on fire from deep. Grace Colucci yesterday, I started watching the game and then my internet cut out. She knocked down a few threes, and the freshman... Give me a second. I'll get you the freshman's name. She had a pretty good WOBM. Natone.
Yep.
Natone. She had a good WOBM shooting the ball.
I mean, what are they now? 7 and 7? 7 and 7.
I think so. I think they are.
So, if they were seeding the Shore Conference tournament now, would they be a 6 or 7 seed, maybe?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. If I was Manasquan, I wouldn't want to see them in the quarterfinals. If I was RBC, I wouldn't want to see them in the quarterfinals. Or they might be 7 and 7, but I don't think any of the top teams want to see them right
now. No, they're firing, on all cylinders, offensively and tough defensively, and they don't have a lot of hype, but they don't back down underneath. So good job. You start off with your season. Hang on, let me pull them up right now. Come on. I just want to see how many they got in a row.
I think it's 6 or 7. 6.
Yeah. Yeah, my fat fingers are hitting things.
And not just wins against slouches. I mean,
No.
they're beating Holmdel, St. Roy. Yeah, so good wins, quality wins.
Yeah, and somebody that was at the game yesterday, they won by 20, and the person who told me said that, and this was a neutral person, not a Holmdel. They said they said that score difference actually made the game look closer than it really was.
Wow.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, six in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So the last win before that was Madawan. So like I said, nobody's going. Come shore conference tournament, come Group 2, Central Jersey Group 2.
Yeah.
They are definitely not the same team that from early in the season. And, hats off to Coach Callahan getting them. And hats off for the players. Starting off with that many losses, they could have packed it in, and it also made our job difficult for top 10 this week.
Absolutely.
So let's do that. Let me just get that up. Okay, we'll do our top 10. Share. All right, top 10. We actually have some differences.
All right.
And we already know next week is after tonight. Next week's changing already. So Doug, I'll let you go first with your top 10.
All right. Obviously, the top 3 stay the same: St. John Vianney, RBC, Manasquan, Donovan Catholic. Even with a loss to Cherokee, I'm not going to ding them too much for that. Top 10 team in the state.
No, my thing with Donovan, until they lose to somebody in the shore that's
correct,
not one of the top 3, they're staying right there.
Agree. I moved Middletown South up to 5. They had a nice week. Wins over Colts Neck and Howell. Holmdel, RFH moved out of the rankings to number 6 this week with 3 nice wins over Marlboro, St. Rose, and Holmdel. Holmdel at number 7. 2 wins this week and a loss to RFH. RFH is on fire. Number 8, Toms River North slid back into the rankings. Wins over Atlantic City Central and Jackson Memorial. Number 9, Ranny lost to Staten Island Academy, which tough
that's
team
a good
from
loss.
New York.
Yeah,
and win over Point Beach. And I kept Jackson Memorial in at 10. Their only loss to Toms River North this week, beating Tom Reese and Brick Memorial.
All right. Obviously St. John Vianney, RBC, Squan, Donovan. I moved Rainey up to 5 from 9. I factor in head-to-head a little bit more, which, made it a little difficult. But, I'm not going to thank them for the Staten Island Academy loss. That's a good team. Look, we got a visitor.
Special guest again.
Rumpson, I got in the same spot as you, skyrocketing up the rankings. Holmdel right behind them, but, Rumpson, dominated them. Middletown South, I have at 8. Their only blemish was, a bad loss to Rumpson, first game of the season. Not the same team. I know, they had a tough game tonight. We'll talk about that next week. Yeah. I still got St. Rose in the top 10, down to 9. Hopefully Rosie, could heal up, get some rest and, be back, for the postseason.
Yeah, totally different team without her. So,
yes. And I have Toms River 10, defeating Jackson Memorial. Just touch on St. Rose. They are a totally different team. Don't know if the box score was right. They were. Wall gave them a good game, a decent game for the first. Is that who they played? Yeah, they played Wall. First half, and then did they have a good first half? I know it was 13-13. Yeah, I think they were only down 5 at the end of the first half, but they were able to shut Maggie out. The box scores, I think Maggie didn't have any points. But, the freshmen, we were saying eventually they were going to have to step up. Now, Rosie being a little injured. Lizzie Mitchell, 7 3-pointers.
Yeah.
and she seems like another one of those humble, quiet kid. Got to watch her a lot during soccer season. Pretty good soccer player as well. I know basketball is her sport. And Cassidy, she had a couple good games this week. So the freshman, stepped up yesterday. This is gonna be the run that they're gonna be tested, and which could be trouble come the postseason for other teams. The freshmen are gonna be getting more minutes,
Yep.
and we'll see how they respond. So
I think at the end of the season, one of our toughest things to pick will be freshman of the year. There's so many
yes,
playing well and getting big
yeah,
minutes. And,
yeah. That's the key thing for especially for me. Are they playing? And how they perform. There's a lot of freshmen that are starting on teams and they're backing it up. So good to see the freshmen stepping up, and I know that's a game. Wall wanted that game to show they're there. But they're still they're just outside the top 10, and like we said last week. I'm sure those bottom spots are going to be rotating. With Trinity Hall today, I'm sure we're going to see them. It's very, after St. John Vianney, it's just so competitive with
and
all these teams.
I think this is the first week we had a lot of movement at the bottom of the
Yes.
ranking. And I think next week, from a couple of the results we saw already today, could be some more movement next week. So, it's interesting. It keeps it interesting. I mean, until somebody knocks off the top 4 teams, they're going to stay there. And But under that, it could be anybody.
Yeah,
Rumson's on fire now. Homedale had a nice run early. And Randy's playing well.
Mm-hmm. Colts next
Trinity
playing
Hall's
well.
playing well. Colts next playing well. Tom's River North's back to playing well. There's a lot of good teams in the shore, and the top 10 will be a.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not involved with the Shore Conference tournament rankings.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, again, you're always going to have the 2 or 3 teams that are annoyed that they didn't get a decent seed, and you're going to have 2 or 3 teams that were seeded higher that don't perform the way they should. So it's going to happen. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. There was one other team. I forgot what I wanted to bring up. Another team. I forgot what it was. Oh, Lacey, another team. They've been, they've been consistent, all year.
Yeah, Manchester beat them on the last second shot. So, I think they can. That's going to be. I mean, I'm not sure they're going to beat Donovan, but
no.
But they could end up in second place in that division.
Yes,
easily.
Yes, and like you said, teams 5 through 13, they're competitive. There's not much separating them. So,
right.
But it's going to be, we're just over halfway through the season, so it'll be fun and look forward to the Shore Conference tournament.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else? Oh, Monday the rematch of Jackson Toms River North, right?
Yeah, at Toms River North.
I think 7:30 game. I think it's a 7:30 game.
No love lost between those 2 teams, and the Jackson people are going to travel, and Toms River North and they're playing in the little bandbox, the old Toms River North gym. So,
you don't think they'll move that to the big gym?
I don't know. I don't know if they're still using that. I think
they played Atlantic City in the big gym.
Oh, they did. Okay, maybe they will.
They should.
I mean, I'd like to see it in the small gym.
Okay.
Nice atmosphere.
It's something about being, on top of each other. It makes it better.
And I know Rachel's going to be out for revenge, and the whole Jackson team, and Toms River North's riding high right now. So it's going to be a good match. Part 2. Hopefully, it's as good as the first one.
Did Julia play?
She did.
I heard
she didn't start. She played a couple of minutes. She's getting her feet back under her.
That's what I heard was going to happen.
The same as before she was sick, but she'll get back. She's a great player. But North needs her. North definitely needs her.
Yeah, just another weapon. It's just somebody that Jackson has to worry about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
All
right. Anything else, dude?
That's it. Just hopefully everybody stays safe in this weather.
Yes.
Hopefully the weathermen are wrong, and
Yes, but if
But
we
it
get a
doesn't
lot
look
of
that way
snow,
right now. Yeah.
yeah, if you get a lot of snow, stay inside if
Yeah.
you can. Don't go out there.
Yeah. Hopefully
So,
the power stays on, and
oh yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
hope
I
for the
agree.
best.
So, all right, everyone, thank you. This was recorded Friday night. Probably not going to be up till Saturday morning. So, but everyone have a good night. Like Doug said, stay safe, and
Yeah.
we'll see you next week.
See you next week.